A solo mystery role-playing game that is designed for any genre? Yeah, that's right. Today, my friends, we're talking about Caught in the Rain. This is a very cool solo game. So today, my friends, we're going to break it down. Well, hi, hello, everybody. My name is Turk. Welcome back to the Grouch Couch. Around here, we do all different kinds of weird TTRPG things. But yes, today, we're going to be breaking down Caught in the Rain. I'm going to pull it in the top-down camera, show you what it has to offer, and then hopefully today we can actually get a little bit of an actual play going of this game. Because it's really, really cool. And also, you know, you can see the solo RPG playing cards that I have here as well. These bad boys are specific playing cards designed for solo RPG playing. I have a full video also covering these on the channel, but these were designed basically alongside Caught in the Rain. So I would be remiss if I didn't play them together. That's right. Now, before I get into any more details about what my plans are, I do want to give a big shout out to our friends at Ravens Ridge Emporium for sending this over to me. They sent this over to me and their other game, Cartograph, and I'm going to be playing that as well in the future, so keep an eye out for that because that's a very cool map-making game. But today we're talking about Caught in the Rain, so I want to give a big shout out to them. They are RPG creators from Down Under. Yeah, we love our Australian friends, and they do more than just RPGs. They also have really cool dice and other kinds of fun things on their shop. So if you want to check out Ravens Ridge Emporium, there'll be a link down there in the description. Support small creators, my friends. Heck yes. And just thank you again, thank you. So, I don't know if I will have enough time to do a super long actual play of this today, but what I will say is I'm just really excited to get my hands on it and start playing it, so we're going to be doing a big old overview and a little bit of an actual play today. But in the future, I plan on doing an actual long-form campaign of Caught in the Rain in one of the different genres that it has to offer. So today we're going to keep it simple, stupid, KISS, right? But if you want to see me do a long-form actual play, make sure to let me know in the comments below. And you could also leave a like, just to let me know to do more. And I think that is all the YouTube jibber jabber. I'm excited to get into the top-down camera and see what this thing has to offer. So, let's do it. All right, here we are at the top-down camera. Now, this is a hardcover book. It's really cool. I think that they offer the PDF somewhere, so make sure to keep an eye out for that as well if you want to just do a little print and play. But it is a nice little book that offers a lot. Full overview. Let's see if we can get a page count here. I don't know if there is page numbers here. It's about 100 pages. And these are real nice, thick, nicely produced pages that are in full color, as you can see. They also have two page ribbons, so you can keep right where you need to be. I love page ribbons, and for some reason, there's always page ribbons in solo books. I don't know what it is. On my shelf down here, there's just a stream of page ribbons just hanging off. I love page ribbons. Very good. Okay, Caught in the Rain. Very good. Front and back. Can you uncover the truth before the weight of it becomes too heavy? Caught in the Rain is a solo role-playing game of investigative mystery. Whether you are a child searching for their lost brother or a detective searching for a ruthless killer, Caught in the Rain solves that challenge of solo mysteries by keeping the truth hidden. This allows you to create cohesive and unexpected mysteries. Caught in the Rain is a fully contained game with everything you need to play, including simple to learn rules, career options to play the same investigator, narrative oracles, 20+ random roll tables, and rules for GM-less multiplayer play, which is really cool. I'm a sucker for a good old dang old roll chart. Oh, and before we crack it open, I guess I should also say, for a long time, I have been racking my brain trying to figure out how to properly do a mystery solo. As you can see, I even have Vaesen here on my table because I've been working in it, trying to figure it out. I think I finally found some good rules from my friend Man Alone on how to run Vaesen properly solo, but I think this game also solves a little bit of the problem too. It includes enough roll charts and enough mystery, all right? I'm gonna let you be the judge of that, all right? You can let me know down in the comments below, but I think this is a huge contender for being maybe one of the #1 mystery solo games. I don't know. But it's really good. I've been racking my brain trying to figure out how to do solo mystery properly, and I think this solves a lot of the issues. So, let's flip her open. Yes, inside you can't really see it. Let's see if we can get turn down the brightness a little bit. These pages actually have... I feel like I'm rambling. Sorry if I'm rambling, you guys. I'm a little excited. Here we go. Maybe that'll help. These pages actually have a little design on them, which is cool. We don't like flat white pages, so they actually put in full-on effort. Now, here's the important thing. Caught in the Rain was actually made by a friend, Nicholas Robina. Hello, and actually a viewer of the channel. Hello, my friend. How's it going? Look, we're reading your game today. Full Judgment You are being judged today, my friend. You are on the chopping block. No, just kidding. I'm usually pretty positive about everything. All right. Anyways, thanks for watching. Thanks for the awesome game. That's the important thing. I love when people make games for our awesome solo hobby. Yes. Okay. I think we need a zoom if we're gonna read some of this little text here. So let's get us a zoom up. Okay, Caught in the Rain was published by Raven's Ridge. Thank you to all of our backers. Heck yeah, special thanks to Brandon and Jesse and Alexa Rudoragon Z. I don't know what that means. Inside joke maybe? All right, Nicholas Rubino designed everything. We also got help from Brandon and Jesse. Those guys rock. We got cover art over here by Emery. Very good, very good. Beautiful table of contents. I like the way a lot that it's laid out. Sometimes whenever text is too small and all compressed together, I have a hard time reading through it because I got the old ADD, that's right. And this is very good. All right, what is this game? Caught in the Rain is a one-player card-based role-playing game about mysteries. It uses a deck of cards to represent the different clues your investigator uncovers in play, while dice are rolled to add twists to their actions in a tense mystery narrative. During play, you will create an investigator determined to uncover the truth behind a single mystery. You will take on the role of this investigator as you describe scenes, ask questions, and find out the answers by rolling dice for inspiration from tables full of prompts. As the investigator, you will need to guess the truth before the growing consequences of your actions force you to give up the investigation altogether. Very good. So we have like a timer, right, on our mission. It's pretty good. You will play through a series of different scenes, choosing from various types of scenes, each with their own instructions and goals. Investigation scenes, the main type of scenes, involve looking for clues and rolling dice to determine the success of your search and whether you attract consequences. When you have gathered enough clues or you run out of time, you can try to guess the truth. This ends the mystery, and the better your guesses, the closer your investigator will be to the truth. Really cool. And I'm happy we got these cards. We'll get into the mechanics in a minute. I hope you guys like the way that I read things. I try to make reading entertaining. Let me know if it helps, because if it sucks, I could also read things straight. I don't know. Okay. Genre. This is also a really cool thing. The genre of this, it has roll tables for fantasy, for modern, noir, and like for sci-fi, or horror is the one I should mention. Yeah. So if you want to play a mystery like in a medieval fantasy world, which, by the way, recently I've been playing Dragonbane with Willy the Wizard, right? And Willy the Wizard's my first ever like D&D character. Everyone's really loved him a lot. He's a foul-mouthed wizard. And there was a huge part of me that was like, Willy the Wizard could do a mystery in a fantasy world, you know, trying to solve the murder of the Goblin Queen or something like that. Totally doable in this game, right? This is something you could absolutely do. In the future, when I do my actual play, long-running series of this game, we might do that. So, or something else if I'm feeling thrifty. So just know that. This covers all different kinds of genres. I guess let's just continue because we'll get into it. Noir, fantasy, sci-fi, and horror. You can see it right here. When playing, use the random tables for your chosen genre or mix and match for more variety and surprises. Very cool. So we have the book structure, chapter 1 introduction, chapter 2 how to play, chapter 3 optional rules, and the chapter 4 is tables. Rolling 1d66. I love whenever books explain this because it is, I guess, kind of an uncommon thing. You roll 2d6, so you put them together, baby. That's it. Yep, that's a 46. Very good. Okay, now we're going to get into game setup. So we are going to do a little bit of an actual play today. I don't know how far into it we're going to get, but I think we're going to do enough to give an example to you guys on how this game works to see if you want to pick it up for yourself or not, right? That's the important thing. So we're going to separate our deck of playing cards, which is a good time to pull out our playing cards. These are the solo RPG playing cards. These are everything. And also again, we're going to be a little truthful here. I want to play these more on the channel. Like I really want to use them in other games, but it felt weird to not first use them with the game that they were designed for, right? I feel like these cards right here have the potential to work with any system, right? And they're just fantastic. So let's pull them out. And that was just a little thing for myself. I was like, I really need to play them with the game they were meant for before I just go throwing them into other places, right? Cool. So the truth deck, when we're setting up our game, I want to probably show them off here a little bit, right? They got all these oracle words. They have yes or no's. They have our 2d6 dice rolls. They have names, and they also have objects. And in my review video, I guess I didn't mention it enough, but these are technically modern cards, right? Because they're meant for this mystery game. But someone was like, oh, who's our bad guy? And you pull a name and you have like Amber or Lance, right? And they were like, oh, our big bad evil guy's name is Lance. And I was like, actually, I'm kind of cool with that. that. I think that's hilarious. A huge big old wizard named Lance. I love that so much. Or like Eugene or something like that. But I like comedy in my games, all right? You could name your big bag evil guy Schmog and Rog and forget his name halfway through the campaign, or you could just name him Lance. I love that. So these are gonna work for me everywhere. You know what I mean? But anyways, we've got names, we've got handcuffs, we've got all kinds of stuff. These cards are awesome. And the thing that I love about these cards the most is that you can still use them as normal playing cards, right? There are other cards in the world, the Game Master's Apprentice deck. Those are kind of more tarot cards formed, and what I mean by that is they don't have faces of cards. They aren't still designed to be used as playing cards. And there are a lot of solo RPG systems out there that need playing cards. And if you have the Game Master's Apprentice deck, that doesn't work for you because they're not still playing cards. These are both, which makes it amazing, right? I'm ranting again. Can you tell how excited I am about this game and these cards? Because I'm ranting, you can see how excited I am, all right? I need to take a deep breath and calm down for a sec. So we're going to separate our deck, right? We need all the face cards and then all the other cards, including the jokers. And as we can see here, these jokers were designed for this game because they actually have these mystery words on there. And underneath the black and underneath the red, there are words. They're just harder to read, so it's a little bit more of a mystery. Very cool. So I'm gonna separate these. Okay, we've got our two stacks. We have our truth deck, and then we have our clue deck. It's very cool. And I like the design of the back of these cards as well. It has their raven holding a D20, which is so sick, by the way. Hey, Raven's Ridge, if you guys make stickers of that, please send me one for my journal. I have the perfect place for it right here. Send it. Thanks. I'm so excited. Okay. Shuffle both decks separately. Place them face down in play. Here we are. We're back over here again. Face down in your play area. Leave space for discard piles next to each deck. Draw 3 cards from the truth deck without looking at them and set them aside face down. So this is one of the reasons I think that Nicholas has solved the mystery solo issue, because when we're flipping our 3 cards face down, these are our truth cards, right? And by pulling these out, it's kind of like Clue. We have our truths here already. The mystery has already been chosen, right? The answer is here. We don't know what it is, but because they've been removed from here, as we play through, if we pull out truths and we find them, it's kind of like Clue in a way, right? I don't know what they call Clue in Australia. I think they actually call it something else, but it's kind of like Clue in a way, right? We have all these cards, so if we pull one, we know that the Queen of Diamonds isn't the answer. So we're eliminating things as we're playing. At least that's kind of a little bit of the gist that I've got from it. Again, I haven't actually played it yet, but we're going to. So moving forward, we have our 3 truths, and I'm actually going to set them over here like this. So they're still in play, but they're out of play a little, right? I realize one of them is behind me. Do we need to green screen? We could green screen. Okay, we're green screen. Now, we've got everything set up. Beautiful. We draw 3 cards, we set them face down. I'm gonna try to stay on track now, you guys, okay? I'm gonna try. I'm just really excited. Draw 3 cards from the truth deck without looking at them and set them aside face down. Now we get to create an investigator and we create our mystery, and then we begin play with an investigation scene. And we're actually going to create our investigator in our solo one-shots journal for this year. It's coming along, it really is. So this is actually gonna go over here on this page here, is where we're gonna create our investigator. Now this game does have in the back, we could see we do actually have our character sheet stuff. So what I'm actually going to do, this is a lot more than I thought it was. I wish I would have printed this out. How long would it take me to print it? I'm gonna check something quick. It was easy to print out. Just scanned the QR code on the book with my phone and sent the print from my phone to the printer. Bing bang. Cool. We've got our mystery sheet and our investigator sheet. Which definitely messed up the white balance of the camera here, but that's okay. So let's create our investigator. And this is actually kind of cool because what I'm gonna do is I'm actually going to take my notes still in this, and then I'm gonna be able to cut things out of this, and then I'm gonna glue them into my solo journal. I'm trying to get better at cataloging and journaling, so this is gonna be a fun way for me to be able to do it. Very good. See how I cut things out and glued them in there over there? Heck yeah. Journaling is a big part of solo actual play stuff, and I feel like it's a place that I kind of lack a little bit, so I'm practicing. Okay, I guess before we build our character, actually, the next page here, page 5, has a bunch of cool solo advice in it. So traditionally, it says, TTRPGs are played with multiple people, but in solo, all the characters and actions in the scene settings are your responsibility as the solo player. Yes, very good. In this game, the story being told in mechanisms such as rolling dice and choosing scenes influence each other. Sometimes referred to as the fiction, the story is the narrative context in which your investigator acts, and then we actually have the mechanisms, which are the rules of the game, used to influence and change the fiction when your investigator acts. As you decide how your investigator acts in the story, the mechanisms drive you to change the fiction, which in turn narratively demands your investigator takes action once more. In play, you will be instructed to choose a scene type. The scene you choose depends on your desired outcome, whether it's finding a clue or letting your investigator rest. Each scene type comes with its own instructions that help you start blending the story and the mechanisms. In general, start by describing the scene, adding in anything called for by the mechanisms such as threats. When describing a scene, ask yourself questions like, where is the scene taking place? Who is here, and what are they currently doing? You can write your scene descriptions down in a journal. Draw a picture, record yourself speaking, hello me, keep it all in mind, or blend any of these methods. That's me talking to editing me later, because I do record myself speaking. If you're ever unsure about what to do, or have a question about the details in a scene, you can ask yourself a question about it and use the oracles in page 55 to inspire your answers, or use one or more random tables to determine the detail. Using oracles and random tables are key tools in this game that help add twists to the story and keep you from falling back on familiar patterns of description. See chapter 4 from each for more specific advice on both. Now, we're creating our investigators, because this game isn't only solo, by the way. It can be played GM-less with multiple people, which I think is kind of cool. Yeah, it's fun. I love GM-less games, obviously. Okay, it's a little better. Fix the camera. So, we're going to be building our investigator. Your investigator can be anyone from a grizzled detective to a child in an interstellar adventure. The most important thing is that they're trying to uncover a truth that is important to them. Investigators are made up of attributes, a fatigue track, keywords, a trait, and obligations. This section explains these elements and the steps for creating your investigator. And I was thinking about it a lot, and like I said before, I think I really want to do, something wild when it comes to a mystery. If I do an actual play of this, something that isn't just like general noir mystery. Like I can go in and do like a cool sci-fi mystery. Imagine being the captain of a ship and someone was murdered on your ship and you got to figure out who it was. Like that sounds like a lot of fun to me. But for today's example, we're going to, like I said, keep it simple, stupid. KISS is what we like to say around here. And we're going to just play a classic noir thing. So we're going to be playing a grizzled detective trying to solve a mystery, right? Basically, anyway, just to kind of get a good example going of this game, which I think is important for this. So your investigator's capabilities are represented by 3 attributes. The higher the number assigned to an attribute, the more capable your investigator is in that area. This will influence their ability to find clues using different approaches. So we have power, which is strength and stuff. We have insight, which is logical thinking. And then we have method, which is, I think, being clever, basically. Resourcefulness and creativity. Over the course of the mystery, your investigator will gain fatigue. This is represented by a 5-box track. Each time you gain fatigue, mark the leftmost box. Whenever all boxes are marked, your most proficient available attribute is no longer usable until you rest. Cool. And again, I want to point out that I really like the way that this book is laid out. It's really simple. It's really nice. It doesn't, I've read some books in the past that kind of like overstay their welcome. And I think this gets to the point and explains it well, at least so far anyway. And I really like it. And I like the spaces, in between each one of these sections. It's very fun. I think my creative, self would have went wacky and wild with it. And I would have put like images in between each one of these, And I'm also just now realizing that my shirt is see-through. So that's fun. Okay. I don't look at myself enough whenever I record, so I usually just look to see if you guys can see the book in the video. That's all right. Anyways, moving on, we have keywords. Keywords are words or phrases gained and used throughout play. They represent events, items, factions, or critical insights related to the mystery. Each keyword can be used once for a benefit, representing how your investigator might leverage connections to a faction, gain insight from an item, or recall important details about a relevant event. Your investigator's signature keyword is just like any other keyword, except you can use it multiple times. Your signature keyword represents something with a special meaning to your investigator, like their trusty revolver or a photo of a loved one. And those are classic. We'll probably straight up use one of those, I think. An obligation is a commitment to your investigator. Is a commitment your investigator has aside from solving a mystery. It must be that they have a day job, they must attend, or that they require peaceful time to themselves. So if we do like a classic detective, would like alcoholism probably fit in there? I think that's too heavy of a subject for us to play in our example, but could be a classic thing. There's like that one mystery video game, I can't remember what it's called, where there's a detective who's like that. Anyways, use obligations to help define your investigator as a person by exploring why these things are important to them. If neglected, obligations increase your investigator's fatigue, which can make it more difficult to uncover the truth of a mystery. And lastly, we have trait. A trait is a descriptive detail that helps your investigator stand out as a character, like a tendency to make risks or coldly pragmatic. When deciding what your investigator does or how they might respond to a situation, look at their trait for inspiration. And I like that a lot. I think that helps when you're playing your characters, Absolutely. All right, so now we have actually how to do it. Of course, we have assign our attributes for our investigator. We have attributes. We have 2 for their most proficient, 1 for their second most, and 0 for their least most. So what do we think our classic detective? I imagine our classic detective wearing like a fedora, and he's got like a beard and his hair's curling up over his fedora, and he wears his sunglasses inside for some reason. He's kind of an asshole like that. Is he strong? I think he's probably strong, but I mean, maybe he's a little bit older and kind of grizzled, so maybe he doesn't use his strength very much. Maybe that's why he relies on his revolver, because we could do classic, trusty revolver just to interrogate some people, like, tell me what you know, might be pretty good. I'm gonna do this in pencil, actually, I decided. That makes more sense to me. So we're gonna say he's kind of old and he's been through a lot. Maybe he once was, like some kind of an addict or something. The job was getting to him. I think he's okay now, but maybe it took a toll on his body a little bit. So we're gonna do method. I want him to be like super creative and like clever. That's the word. I want him to be very clever. So we're gonna do 2 for method. We'll do 1 for insight and 0 for power. Now we have to create an obligation using the random obligation tables in chapter 4 for inspiration, which is cool. I get to show you guys the awesome, look at this page. This is a very cool page. It's very nice and helpful when it comes to the character sheet. I like the way it's laid out. It says mystery to it. It's very cool. So, but we're gonna hop over to the roll charts. I love me a good roll chart. So we're looking for obligations. And now I get to show you guys a little bit more of all the different kinds of roll charts. So, I mean, it's just a fat page of roll charts here. It's like half the book. You'll love to see it. You'll love to see it. So we even have our oracles back here. Our subject oracles, very good. We're gonna be using those a lot. Actually, I think I should we're going to ribbon bookmark the oracle section because we're going to be using that bad boy a lot. Okay. Now we have our random tables here. We have our first names and last names. And actually, while we're going through it, so we don't have to flip back to this page, let's go on ahead and just roll for our first names and last names. And I like that this game used a D66. This kind of means that, most people have D6s. They're the most common roll, like dice that anyone has. So I like that they did that. Oops. Let's re-roll outside of the box here on the table. 41 for our character's first name. Their name is Ripley. Oh, dude, sick. That's pretty good. And also, I could have pulled from the cards to pick a name as well, but let's just do Ripley. That's such a good, fun name. All right, last name, 12. Ripley Asher. Dude, what the heck? That rocks. That rips, dude. Ripley rips, dude. And we also have prefixes and suffixes if you want to like combine one. We could do an example here. 54, Nix, 20 or 62. Nix on. Nixon. Bing bang. There you go. More name suggestions. We have our traits and our motivations. What are we looking for again? I've been distracted by amazing roll charts. Yes, I have. Obligations. Okay. I think these are character builders. So we're probably actually going to need these anyway. So let's go on ahead and just use them now. Trait. 11. Optimistic. I think that's okay. I don't know if I really want to play on that though. What about 55? Mute. That's impossible. We cannot do mute. Can't do that. 22. What is up with these doubles? Missing limb. Maybe that's why he has no strength. He's optimistic, but maybe he's missing an arm. He's the one-armed detective, Ripley Asher. Love that. I love that. Missing an arm. Heck yeah, Ripley. Get out there. All right, what is our motivation? Do we have that on here? We don't, but let's see. 61 for the challenge. It's a challenge to get out here and serve every day. Other details. I don't see where motivation goes on here, so let's just put it there. Cool. And I really didn't want to come into this with a pre-built character in mind already because I wanted to show off these roll charts. So very good. Now we have noir tables. And these are locations, objects, clues, obligations, keywords, and threats. And we have the same for fantasy tables. All the same. Horror tables, very cool. And then also sci-fi tables. So if we come back and do a full mystery with this game, I think we're gonna do sci-fi. Like I said, a captain on a ship and someone has been murdered. I think that's gonna be a lot of fun. And we also have our quick rules in the back, so you could print these bad boys out. Yeah, and just keep them with you. Could be very fantastic. But for today, we're gonna go back to the noir stuff. Okay, noir obligations. What is our obligation? 23. Absolve sins. That's too deep for us today. We're gonna roll again. 55. Reclaim an old career. Oh man, he lost his arm, right? And they're like, you can't be a detective anymore, Ripley. You've lost your arm. And he's like, I'll show you, bastards. I'll show all of you. And that's why for the challenge makes sense. So he wants to get his job back. Which I wonder if that works really good with this system, because the obligation is supposed to be something you do outside of the mystery. So maybe he has to do like paperwork or like something else. He has to do it right while he's doing the mystery. So maybe that is his obligation, to show them he can still do the paperwork and the actual field work Right. Reclaim old career. I'm cool with that. All right, what's next, Nicholas? Tell me. Create a signature keyword using the random tables. All right, here we go. We have our keywords here. Signature keyword is what we're looking for. 11? Wow. Mantra. Remind me again exactly what keywords are doing. We've been through a lot. Represent single items, factions, etc. Your investigator's signature keyword is just like any other keyword, except you can use it multiple times. Our mantra. I don't really see us using mantra a lot. So we're going to roll again. And if you play, feel free to roll as many times as you want. 25. Distraction. Look over there. What would distraction be? He's good at magic. He's like, look, I don't have an arm. Man, I don't know about that. You can use a distraction, some kind. I'm really thinking hard on it because I want to try to make the second roll work, but I don't think it fits for the character that we're building. So we're going to roll a third time. 65. Voice. So he's good at talking. That makes sense. Yeah. That's good. Voice is a signature keyword. Cool. Yeah, I'm down with that. All right, create a signature keyword. All right, now create a name and trait, which we already did. I did that first. I think it helped me a little bit building out the character. All right, moving on. Now we get to create our mystery. Ooh, yeah. Should we draw Ripley? I'm trying to learn how to draw, you guys, and I'm not very good at it. Let's see if I can draw something real quick. I'm going to need it for my journal later anyway. I like that they include a nice little spot there. What you could do is just print something out, and then you could glue it in there. It could totally work. But for me, we want to try to learn how to draw. Pencil sharpener. Here it is. My pencil sharpener and my face light are plugged into the same place, and they don't like to run at the same time. All right. He needs a hat, so let's give him a big old hat here. We'll do like, we should draw the head first. We'll just do like a squiggly line like this, you know? Maybe that was too much. Too much around the chin area, but I like the squiggly line. We'll go straight across like that. There you go, Ripley. We'll give you a hat that comes down like this, looking like a Heisenberg kind of guy. We'll go around that way, like that. Having too much fun. I'm just gonna thicken up that line right there. Let's give him a nose, maybe some big old ears. I imagine he's got a beard of some kind. Do it like that. And then we'll just go like kind of fill in that 5 o'clock shadow a little bit. These here are eyebrows. Don't worry about it. He's a little cross-eyed. Let's just do like some broad shoulders like this. I have no idea. Maybe he's like a open. Hey, that actually kind of worked out after I added that in there. That totally worked out. Put some buttons on there, you know. Look, I'm not an artist, but I'm trying to learn, okay? And you get to be here for the process. Thanks for amusing me. Here we go. Ripley Asher. He's got a beard and a bowler cap, I guess. Now let's create our mystery. The truth of the matter has been hidden, intentionally, or not, and the world has been left anxiously curious about what happened. Mysteries in Caught in the Rain are comprised of a problem. Any clues you uncover, the truths you establish, and escalating threats. Your investigator must manage these dangers while piecing the clues together to resolve the mystery. The problem. Following the instructions on page 13, you will begin by creating a problem. The problem describes the point of the investigator, the point that your investigator becomes aware of the mystery, and also defines important elements in the mystery. The location it started, an object of significance, and what treachery befell the object. Objects are someone or something, so not just a candle, but also Colonel Mustard. Locations are a place, and treacheries are something bad that happens. When it's time to resolve the mystery, you will answer a series of questions that relate to these elements. A problem is written in the following format. It happened at the location. That's where the object, treachery. To seek the truth is to face dangers. This is our motivation here. An investigator always needs a motivation for uncovering the truth of a mystery. Without a motivation, why else would they throw themselves into danger to learn the truth? You will use this motivation to inspire what your investigator will do in any given scene. All right, now we have our clues, truths, dangers, and threats over here on this page here. I see. So I think I put motivation on our character sheet, but it's supposed to go over here. So technically we've already rolled for motivation for the challenge, if you remember. But that's okay. Here's the important part, I believe. Clues are items, whispered words, observations, or anything else that helps your investigator make sense of the mystery. You will draw cards from the clue deck, page 15, as you play, using these cards to represent the clues your investigator uncovers in their pursuit of the truth. These clues will help inspire further scenes and eventually help you resolve the mystery. Now we're on to the truths. Over the course of the game, you will confirm your suspicions and connect your clues to the mystery by establishing clues and truths as truths. This will help you through the process of elimination information. Improve your chances of correctly solving the mystery and also prevent your clue sets from becoming false leads when you draw jokers. Oh, interesting. Danger is a value that represents how much attention your investigator is drawing from their enemies. Ah, the higher the number, the more likely your investigator is to face a dire circumstance. It begins at 0 and fluctuates throughout the game. Threats. Anytime your investigator tries to uncover a clue, they risk introducing a threat to the scene if the danger value is too high. A threat can be anything from a landslide to a person with a gun. They bring greater consequences to the actions your investigator takes in the fiction and makes discovering clues more dangerous. Okay, now it's time for us to put this bad boy together. Well, I don't know what happened, but I got a notification and apparently the recording was corrupted. Yes, I'm working on a very old computer recording and doing my things. We're poor boy, all right? So I'm gonna just recap. We're only still just building our mystery, right? At least I think that's where we need to go back to, all right? So we're creating our mystery. We're going to create our problem by randomly determining a location and an object using the tables in chapter 4 and a treachery in the general treachery table. So we went over to Noir over here and we rolled on location. We got basement, which was 35. So I put basement here on the mystery sheet. It happened at the basement, right? And I was like, what? A murder in a basement? Like and there's so many good locations on here, and basement seems like the one that's like, that's wild. And I was even like, it happened at the basement. I was like, maybe that's like a bar or something called the basement. I think in Noir world probably wouldn't be like that, but you know. Also, we rolled next for object, and as you can see, we got drug. So there's some kind of drug ring happening here in this basement of some kind. And drug was a roll of 41. There's all kinds of stuff on here though. Weapons, officer, disease, investigation, etc. Pretty good roll chart. And then we went over here to treachery, which is on page 61. It actually says over here, roll for a treachery on page 61. And then you missed it, but I made a joke about how it's actually on page 62, 61, 62. Here's our roll chart. Got him. But also we got was destroyed. So the drug was destroyed. I didn't know exactly what that means, but also then it tells you to do motivation. And we already kind of discovered our character's motivation in this. It's that he wants to get back into, back into being a detective, even though he lost his arm. So I think this is like a super tough mystery that at least he thinks it is, that he's going to try and solve. So we also have for the challenge, not only on our character sheet, but also on the mystery motivation. But it inspires you to roll up a motivation for why you want to solve that mystery. So the mystery could theoretically be attached to you somehow. Like it could be a murder of a friend, or you know what I mean? Maybe your character was a part of this in our situation, a part of this drug ring or something like that, right? Anyways, then lastly, we're going to write 0 in our danger box on the mystery sheet, which we've done right here. And I feel like this is going to fluctuate a lot. So make sure you do that in pencil is all I'm saying. Yeah. And then we have our example down here. It happened at the lighthouse. That's where the family transformed. Very cool. And then we have our explanation of the sheet right there. Very cool. I like that they include that. It's pretty sweet. All right. Now we're moving on to clues. Hopefully that covered everything that I went over. There's probably some jokes and stuff you guys missed, but it's fine. Dang computer. So without clues, you would be hard pressed to discover the truth of the mystery. Clues can be anything from your investigator finds that helps them make sense of what is happening. Each clue is represented by both a card with a rank from ace to 10 and a description of the clue. These are both recorded on the mystery sheet. As your investigator learns more, you will uncover new clues and add more detail to the existing clue descriptions. Clues help your investigator make sense of the mystery. When you can gain a clue from rolling particularly well for your investigator to do something, or your investigator makes progress during certain scenes, you'll either establish a clue or strengthen an existing one. It's good to remember. Establish or strengthen, depending on the card you draw. The first time you draw a card of a particular rank, e.g. ace, 5, etc., your investigator discovers a new clue. To create a new clue by recording its description on the mystery sheet and form a new clue set by placing the card face up in play area. So we have our clues right here, ace through 10. I really like the way that is written out like that. So I'm assuming if you get a 10 again, it'll strengthen it, for example. Clue descriptions can be written as single words or short phrases like invoice or invoice found at the butcher shop. Creating clues. Use the random tables or oracles in chapter 4 for inspiration. Consider how the different people, the environment, and existing clues might theme this new clue. For example, you might use subject oracles in chapter 4 to generate the words hide significant life. This could mean someone important was taken and is now hidden. You might make the clue description important person abduct. And I think we're going to be using the cards, right? We're going to be using our cards. So whenever we flip the cards, oracles. The oracles themselves should be on the cards, right? I don't know if the cards were designed later or what, but just saying. I don't think we're going to be needing them roll charts as much as the book might say. When you draw a card of a rank you have already drawn, your investigator learns more about that clue. Cool, just like we thought. They have already discovered. Add that card to the clue set of the same rank and expand on the clue description. This makes the clue more powerful when you choose to establish it as a truth. So you build on clues and then they become truths. Truth, page 34. Sometimes I like to go to the pages they tell me to just to kind of like get a little bit of what they mean. Truth scenes. Gotcha. Playing out truth scenes. So we haven't gotten into scenes yet. There's 100 pages, you guys. That's why I was like, I don't know how much of an actual play we're going to be able to get into today, but I want to at least do a light one. And then whenever I start my actual play, the long running one of Caught in the Rain, I can be like, hey, if you want to learn how to play this, you want to know why I'm doing the things I am, go check out that video. You know what I mean? That's why we're here today. Also because, I have no confidence and I don't like recording videos over an hour. And I know everyone's like, Turkey, do it anyway. But I'm like, look, I don't know. I don't know. An hour-long video is crazy. And we're probably going to go over an hour today. But, at least you guys already know. You're probably looking at how long the video is right now, aren't you? Look, don't worry about that. All right? Let's just keep moving forward. Okay. Expanding clues. As you would when you create a new clue, consider the surrounding factors of the clue in your mystery when you add more details to its description. You could add an additional word, phrase, or connection to another clue. For example, one clue might have the description, the culprit used a green van to escape the scene. When you strengthen this clue, you could generate some random words such as protect, old, risk. This might mean the van is old and one of the doors is loose, so the culprits have taped the door closed, making it easier to identify. Your modified clue description may read as the culprits used a green van to escape the scene. One of the doors is taped shut. Cool. Now we're on to Jokers. Ooh, look at that art right there. That is classic stuff right there. Beautiful. I love them birds up there. Very nice. Jokers add more twists and turns to your mystery. Once used, a joker is removed from the game, so they can only impact you twice. Whenever a joker is drawn from the clue deck, even when instructed to discard a card, choose a clue set that has not been established as a truth and make it a false lead. Then discard the joker and the cards in the clue set and draw a new card. In the fiction, a false lead means that its clue turns out to be too circumstantial, was interrupted incorrectly, or is otherwise unrelated to the mystery. A clue set that becomes a false lead has all cards in the set discarded. I'm gonna have to read through that again. Sometimes when I'm like reading out loud, my brain is somewhere else and I'm just like saying words. So sometimes I'll actually read things out loud and then read them myself on camera. It's true. Anyways, okay, has all cards in the set discarded, which prevents it from ever being established as a truth. Any future cards drawn from the clue deck that share a rank with a false lead are immediately discarded and you do not draw a replacement card. Narrate how your investigator discovers that the lead is false. What happens if there are no clue sets? If no clue sets can become false leads, you instead double the current danger. Oh, consider what happens in the fiction to significantly signify, the sudden shift. Perhaps a brick with a note is thrown through your investigator's window and now they know more eyes are on them. Okay. Fun jokers. We'll go back to that whenever we draw a joker, I think. Probably. All right, how to play. Here we are. We're past creating everything, and we're on here to play now. 6 Sauce. Caught in the Rain is played from the perspective of your investigator. You will describe a series of scenes, describe what actions your investigator takes in each, and describe how those actions change the situation. You will continue this until the end of the game is triggered. Every new mystery starts with a new investigation scene. Marking. During play, you will be instructed to mark different elements on the investigator sheet. This is how you track your investigation's resources. To mark an element, you simply fill in one of the empty squares or segments on the investigator sheet, such as fatigue box or the clock. Conversely, when instructed to clear marks, you erase them. Cool, so let's look over here. We have the clock and we have our fatigue. Very good. I forgot what he looked like. It makes me laugh. All right. Striking. Similar to marking, you will sometimes be instructed to strike different elements on the investigator sheet. Attributes, obligations, and keywords can all be struck. To strike an element, you draw a line through it. Struck elements cannot be used during play until you are instructed to clear the strike. The clock. The basic unit of time in Caught in the Rain is a day. Each day is divided into 4 scenes. These scenes are tracked using the clock, a circle with 4 segments on the investigator sheet. Whenever a scene ends, you must mark one of the unmarked segments. What happens when the clock is filled? A new day has begun. Follow the steps below before continuing the game. We'll probably do 1 day in today's actual, probably. Mark a fatigue for each unstruck obligation. Oh, so whenever the day is ended, then you do fatigue and stuff. That's cool. So like, you're gonna need to fulfill that obligation of yours throughout that day. If you don't, you're gonna get a fatigue for it. We may even gain additional obligations while playing. That's crazy. Clear all marks on the clock and all strikes on any obligations. Generate a random event that happens to your investigator, page 32. This random event does not affect the clock. Decide how your investigator attempts to resolve the event, then roll an attribute test. Continue the game as normal by starting a new scene. And that's at the end of the day when the clock is filled. The flow of play. When starting a new scene, you will choose one of the 4 types of scenes and follow the instructions for that scene. After this, you may choose to resolve the mystery or continue to the next scene. Most of your time will be spent playing investigation scenes. This is how your investigator gains clues to help them resolve the mystery. Scenes are sequences of fictional action, like investigating locations or uncovering truths about mystery. In all of my solo actual plays, I record everything in the form of scenes. So I like that they included this. They're explaining how it works. So like, if you don't know how to do a solo game, you could play this, right? It has everything in there for you. It's crazy that I literally made a solo game loop. It's one of my more popular videos on the channel. It's like 10K views or something. And literally, I'm like, scene, task, action. Like I literally, it's called Start. It's the game loop I came up with. So it's so funny that they include scenes. I love that. But anyways, uncovering truth about mystery. There are 4 types of scenes: investigation, obligation, truth, and rest. There are 4 scenes in each day. And at the end of each scene, you choose to either resolve the mystery or start a new scene. Each of these options are explained in more detail in the subsequent sections of this book. Describing scenes. Remember to always set the scene by asking yourself where the scene is taking place, who is there, and what they are doing. Literally. Very good, Nicholas. Very good. Nick, could I call you Nick? All right. Anytime your investigator takes action and you engage with the mechanisms, remember to describe how the scene is changed. Cool. That's resolve. The 4th step in start the game loop. All right. And we have this cool, awesome printout. What is this called? Choose a scene to play. Investigation, truth, obligation, or rest. Those are our 4 scene types. After we do that, we resolve. When the scene ends, choose to resolve the mystery or continue. Track time by marking the clock. We'll go back to the top. Choose a scene to play. Truth, obligation, rest. Very cool. This is honestly sick. Like, if I was playing a long game of this, which we're going to, I'm going to print this out. I'm going to put it at the front of my journal, and then, you know what I mean? We're going to keep coming back to this. Very cool. All right, so let's figure out our investigation scenes, because that's what we're going to begin. When your investigator tries to peel back the mask and uncover secrets. Nice. Start an investigation scene. This will involve them going to a location to find clues. As the player, you will progress through different investigation scene stages in sequence by rolling attribute tests. Investigation scenes start with an investigation roll and end when you complete all the required stages. Investigation rolls. Before you start an investigation scene, roll 1d6 and add the danger to the results. This will determine how straightforward or complicated the investigation is, and what investigation stage you start in, and whether a threat is present or not. Refer to the following table for the results. Cool. So when we start our scene, we roll up our danger. I like that a lot. It reminds me of when I play ICRPG and I start a scene, I like roll up the current task level, you know? I pull a card for it to see what our task is going to take. So that's very cool. So we got 1 through 6. Everything is quiet. Something or someone is in your way, or something or someone has noticed. Very cool. Investigation stages describe the current fictional framing of the investigation scene. You play through the stages in sequence. There are 4 different stages, and you can track where you are up to by marking the stage on the mysteries. Fair enough. We have 1 through 4 here. The infiltration stage, the discovery stage, the acquisition stage, and the escape stage. Completing a stage, succeeding on an attribute test completes a stage. This means that you have accomplished what the stage is about. Cool. Infiltration stage is about getting to where you need to go. This may involve picking a lock to a back door, driving somewhere even, I'd say. You only need to play through the stage if you get a 4 on the investigation roll. The discovery stage is when your investigator figures out where to find clues. This can involve sneaking through a large mirror, following a suspicious person, or interrogating someone about the whereabouts of the important information. Then the acquisition stage is where your investigator discovers the clue. This can involve them cracking open a safe, reading a journal, or bypassing a network firewall. If there's no threat present, the scene ends at the conclusion of the stage. If a threat is present, you instead move to the escape stage. This is cool. You've mapped out the progress through the scene. So like in my gameplay loop, I don't have this. Like there's no steps through the scene. You have steps through the scene, and your danger level marks the scene. This is very cool. I appreciate this. You know, you've done well. You do well. You know what I mean? All right. The escape stage is when you flee and you end the scene. This is only required if a threat is present. Very cool. So, playing the investigation. After resolving an investigation roll, describe the scene, decide what is happening in the current stage, then figure out how your investigator will try to progress through the next stage. To move to the next stage, you need to succeed on the relevant attribute test and increase the danger by 1. You succeed and increase. Repeat until you have completed either the acquisition stage or, if a threat is present, the escape stage. If your fatigue track is filled, skip to the escape stage. Failing to progress to the next stage. When you fail an attribute test to complete a stage, it means something has gone wrong and you will need to try again. This often involves introducing consequences into the fiction that may require your investigator to take a different approach. You've explained everything here. It's crazy. Gaining clues. When you complete the acquisition stage, you gain a clue by drawing a card. I was wondering when that was going to come into play. You also get an extra clue each time you roll on a 10+ on any attribute test in any scene. Sick. I'm wondering, we have attribute tests, we have our consequences, we have our threats, we have our solve, we have a full example here. When someone else is playing through it, it's very cool. Robin was playing through it, very good. Nice, this is a full explanation of a whole actual play. There's also optional rules for the game difficulty involving red herrings. I don't know if we're gonna get into that today. Also career, so like if we're doing a long actual play, you know what I mean? We're gonna need a career. You could take one investigator to do multiple different. Also have progression and multiplayer. Then we're on to the oracles. Okay, so I was just wondering how much more we had to make sure we read through before we started playing is all I was double checking here. I think it's important for us to understand everything before we actually start rolling, so let's continue. Because I was like, oh, we're reading through the scene. Can we start doing the scene now? That's what I was thinking. All right, so we have our start chart, investigation roll, determine the starting stage and whether a threat is present, infiltration stage, complete the stage by succeeding an attribute test. Oh, and every time we complete a attribute test, we add a danger. Discovery stage, complete the stage by succeeding on an attribute test to learn where to find a clue. Then we add another danger. Then acquisition stage, complete the stage by succeeding on an attribute test to gain another clue. If there's no threat, we end. If there is a threat, we have to run away. And if we complete it, we add another threat plus 1 danger. No threat, we just go. Right. So I'm wondering, so the threat table, the investigation clock, right? The investigation roll, it evolves as the scene goes through. I'm wondering if the danger resets every time we go to a new investigation, is my question. See, that's why we got to make sure we read through before we start playing, although I want to. All right, so let's just move on here. When your investigator tries to progress to the next investigation stage or act against a threat, perform an attribute test. Making an attribute test. Choose an unstruck attribute that best describes what your investigator is attempting to do. Roll 2d6, add the results together, and then add the value of the chosen attribute. So if we have a 2 in method, we roll our 2d6. That's a 5 plus 2 makes it a 7. Refer to the table below to determine the outcome. If the most appropriate attribute is already struck, your investigator will need to find another approach. So we got a 7, which success at a cost. I like this system a lot. This is the 2d6 system plus attributes, seen a lot. I'm trying to remember what I played recently that had this, but yeah, so we have failure, we have success at a cost or full success. And we have doubles as well. Additionally, after resolving the outcome, a random event occurs. On doubles, I love that. I love a double random event. Some less than the danger. Additionally, after resolving the outcome, introduce a level 1 threat and halve the danger, round it up. So drop in a threat and half the danger. If so, like let's say we roll a 4 and our danger level is 6, we have to introduce a threat. Consequences. So if we get failure, we gain a keyword and we suffer a consequence. If we get a failure over here. When your investigator suffers consequences, roll 1d6 on the table below and resolve the effect. Threats can increase your result by their level. Consider how this affects the fiction and use it to describe how the scene changes. So our consequences range from increasing the level of a threat by 1, discard a card from the clue deck. Oh dang. Mark 1 fatigue, mark 2 fatigue, and you could roll on this as well. So on a 9+, your investigator can no longer continue the investigation. Dang, you just gotta stop for the whole day. Your investigator will gain fatigue as they suffer consequences. When the track is full, you strike it. They're just reminding us. We read this earlier, but it's a good reminder. It's a good place to have it there as well. Right underneath whenever you get fatigue, it's a good idea to put it again right there so you don't gotta search to be like, what is fatigue again? Very good. Threats and rivals when playing with optional rules are obstacles present in the investigation scene. They can be anything from landslides to people with guns. Making threats. Determine the nature of a threat using the random threat table in chapter 4 for inspiration. Then assign the threat level from 1 to 3. I think if we come into a threat, we'll come back to this page. Okay, keywords. So we already kind of know what our keywords are, but here's the effects we can use with them. We can re-roll an attribute test with our keyword. We can strengthen a clue, search the clue deck, remember to shuffle it again, or discard pile for a card matching an established clue, then add the card to it. We could also eliminate a threat from the scene as if you have defeated it. So our voice, we could talk a threat away. We'd be like, hey, you better get out of here, you know, intimidation with our one arm. And again, if you use a keyword, you got to strike it, but if it's your signature keyword, you can use it as much as you want. After you rest, of course. You could use your keyword again after you rest. Then we have some rules on random events. Whenever we roll doubles, very cool. There is a subject oracles table 57 in the back to make a random event. Random events are cool, just like things that pop up that kind of change the narrative a little bit. We like that. So we have our obligation scenes. Very good. Our rest scenes and our truth scenes in here. Playing truth scenes, I think we're gonna probably come and read these before we actually do a truth scene. So I'm gonna leave those up for later. And then we have our solve scene. You can choose to resolve the mystery at the end of a scene. So after our first investigation scene, potentially we could try to solve. But let's see how this works so we know we should actually do that. Eventually we'll uncover the truth. The end of the game is triggered when any of the following conditions are true. You choose to resolve a mystery at the end of the scene. The clue deck is empty. You roll a 10+ on the consequences table. Playing the end of the game. When the end of the game is triggered, your investigator attempts to piece together their clues to uncover the truth. At the end of the game trigger, use the end of the game trigger to inform what this final scene could look like and what brought it about. This could solve them presenting the case to someone significant to them or a final showdown with the culprits. After setting the scene, follow the instructions on the next scene page to resolve the mystery and determine the outcome. This involves guessing the truth cards set aside at the start of the game. Any incorrect guesses represent crucial information that is missing or ways your investigator was led astray. That's what I'm talking about. These are set aside, right? This solves this issue. This mystery is already solved. You know what I mean? It's crazy. Follow the steps below to resolve the mystery and determine the outcome. Write down your guesses for the truth cards set aside at the start of the game. Reveal the cards and compare them to your guesses. Starting with the first question below and progressing in order, answer one of the following questions for each correct guess. The answers you provide are true. Was the location significant? Was the object significant? Why did this treachery befall the object? Optionally, write down a lingering question you still have about the mystery to use for future mysteries if you are playing with a career. So I'm wondering how much, I think I must have missed it. Let's go back. I still have some questions. Let's see if we can solve them. This will help you see exactly what I'm talking about. When you draw on truths, you establish clues as truths, and this will help you through the process of elimination. Improve your chances through the process of elimination, right? So we have this little truth deck right here. Well, the truths left in it. If we start pulling those bad boys, that's process of elimination. This will help you through the process, right? Improve your chances of correctly solving the mystery and also prevent your clue sets from becoming false leads when you draw joke. And I'll read more on that. So let's go to 34 here. When your investigator chooses, this is truth scenes, is what it said, chooses to discern the truth from their clues, they take the time to analyze what they know. The truth deck is made up of the face cards that were not set aside at the start of the game. Your goal is to reveal the cards on this deck to improve your chances in guessing the truth, cards set aside. In truth scenes, you can attempt to reveal cards from the truth deck. No attribute tests are rolled during these scenes. This is how I literally think that Nicholas Rabina has solved the solo mystery. It's crazy, dude. It's freaking crazy. Choose a clue set that has not been established as a truth and rotate it 90 degrees. And I also want to say, like, it's basically Clue, you know? You could potentially, like, develop a board game that's a solo mystery board game, but then that's going to come with its own pieces and all this other stuff, you know? Like, this just uses dice and cards, which makes it a TTRPG, if that makes any sense to you. I guess tabletop role-playing, it's still this... Does it make sense what I'm saying? I don't know if it does. I'm a madman. Let me be mad. Okay, so establish the truth and rotate it 90 degrees. When you do this, draw and look at a number of cards, a clue set that has not been established. Rotate them and then draw and look at a number of cards from the truth deck equal to the number of cards in the clue set. Remove these truth cards from the game. For each truth card removed, consider what, where, or who it represents in the mystery and modify the clue description as you would when you strengthen a clue. Answer the following question. What connection does your investigator make to confirm this truth? Additional cards from established truths if you draw a clue card that matches a clue set that has already been established as a truth. Discard this card and draw a replacement. I'm gonna read that again. I don't understand. If you draw a clue card that matches a clue set that has already been established. Oh, I get you. So it's just reiterating what we actually read that before. So like if we draw whatever it is, a 2, and we're establishing the 2 clues, and then we've already established it as a truth. If we draw another 2, we just discard it, draw again. Makes sense. Okay, I think we're almost ready to play. We're not gonna mess around with the optional rules today, but I'm sure we will in the actual play, because we're gonna be doing a little bit more of, you know, a full play here. But there is multiplayer rules as well I want to show off to you guys. Very cool. The investigators, right? It has full rules to play with more than one person, which I think is fantastic, right? So if you want to get this to pick up and play with your partner, if you guys are both into murder mysteries or something like that, this could be a fantastic choice, right? I just kind of want to mention that. But I want to read through the oracles a little bit. Oracles are roll tables, so we have our yes or no questions right down here. We just roll a d6 and we determine our yes or no oracles. So if we have any questions at any point, which I'm sure we're going to roll on a lot. And then we have our subject oracles. So if we're trying to figure out what is going on in a scene, we need more words to kind of put things together. We have those as well. So I think that that's pretty good. I think we understand it. Do we get to start playing a little bit now? I at least want to play out a couple scenes. All right, so I'm gonna go to this page of the book. And I'm actually gonna zoom out so you can see the full table now before we start playing. All right, here we are. So clues, truths, our 3 full mystery cards right there. We've got our investigator, we've got our mystery. Let's clear out the dice box so we can roll in there as much as we need to. Let's put those to the side. And we've got our journal. I'm writing this a little bit. Okay, caught in the rain. I think our story is going to work. First of all, we're going to do an investigation scene, right? It's absolutely what we're going to do. And I think our story is going to begin with Ripley Asher sitting in his old beat up hoopty car. It's like a brown classic car. And he's like smoking a cigar with his one arm. He's got like one of those like ball things on the steering wheel to help him drive with one arm. You know what I mean? And he's sitting there and he's just listening to the radio. You know, he's listening to the radio in his car, waiting for something to come up because Ripley's been out of the game for a couple months, but he wants to get back in, you know? He's all healed up from his injuries and he thinks that he can handle this. This is all he has. He is a mystery detective kind of guy, you know? He's all about it. So he's listening to the radio and I think something comes in on the radio, right? Talking about how there was an explosion that happened like downtown in a house, in a basement, right? And he's like, this could be it. Maybe he's been tracking this drug ring for a while. There's like a crazy drug ring going on in this fictional town that we're in, and he's been tracking it for a while on the down low, right? You know, just snipping out little newspaper things and other kinds of stuff like that. In his like apartment, there's like a whole wall of like all these potential drug ring people. And he thinks that if he can bring down the guy at the very top of the drug ring, that they'll let him back into the detective agency, you know? And he's like, all right, so he's just sitting there late at night waiting. And then on the radio, he hears something come through, you know, about this drug ring. It's like, right. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to roll up our investigation roll. We're going to roll 1d6, then add that danger to the current scene of the result, right? What is our first? 1. Okay. So our danger is now at 1. So this ain't much danger going on for our boy Ripley Asher. So on a 1, everything is quiet. Our investigator makes their way in, start the scene in the discovery stage. So the explosion went off. It's taken Ripley a while to drive downtown to this house. And by the time he gets there, the fire has already kind of totally simmered, you know, and he arrives. I think he gets to the scene, he gets out the door and the other police officers are all there. And there's like totally a captain who's like, come on now, Ripley, you know, you ain't supposed to be here. And since we're on the discovery stage, since it was infiltration, if we would have gotten something is in our way, the captain would have absolutely not let Ripley in. You know what I mean? The captain would have straight up been like, no, Ripley, and we'd have to talk to him, a smooth talker. That would have been our attribute check, right? But instead we get to move right on to the discovery stage. So instead, Ripley's going to just right away be like, come on, you know, I've been tracking this case for a long time. I know I'm out of the game, but come on, just let me look. Let me on in. And they're like, fine, Detective Asher, but do not touch anything while you're in there. And he's like, all right, sounds fine. So we're going to move right on to the discovery stage. So this is where our investigator figures out where to find clues to the location. This could involve sneaking through a large manor, following a suspicious person, or interrogating someone about the whereabouts of the important information. So while we're in the discovery stage, we still need to succeed on an attribute test to learn where to find a clue. So there's probably ashes, you know, like all over the place. And there's places like burnt to a crisp. What kind of drugs even are these? Can we just call them like a fictional kind of drug? Can I actually, since we're gonna make it a fictional kind of drug, let's go over to our suffixes, because I don't want to get too serious around here. If I can find it. First names, last names. It was right after, wasn't it? Cool. Our suffixes, and we're gonna put together a name of a drug, a fictional drug in this world. 66, AL. And we're gonna put it in our journal. The fictional drug. We have AL. And 64, A. ALA. Okay, ALA. Maybe it stands for something. What does it stand for? Assholes lick assholes. I don't actually want to add another suffix on it because I can't deal with that. All right, 34, SAR, Alisar. Cool. Fictional drug of Alisar. Could be an abbreviation for something. Absolutely could be. So we're looking around. If there was an explosion, Alisar isn't grown in this world. It is created through the use of chemicals. So there's probably beakers and other kinds of stuff all over the place. And I'm wondering, since our detective's really clever, he's probably had a lead on something before. You know what I mean? Like he knows exactly how it's made. Maybe we're looking for specific signs of something. So maybe while he's walking around in there, we're going to do our attribute test. And what we're going to do is we're going to roll on our clever method is what we're going to roll on. We're going to get attribute tests up over here. Okay, so we're going to roll our 2d6 against method to see if he can look around through all this ash and all this broken exploded stuff to see if he can see anything. That's a 7 plus 2 because it's method, which is a 9. Success at a cost. Your investigator succeeds, but there's a complication. What is it and how do they respond? Suffer consequence. Any threats not acted against now act. Okay. Your investigator succeeds, but there is a complication. Okay, so we found something. So we get to move into the acquisition stage. Complete the stage by succeeding an attribute test. Learn where to find a clue. So we know where now to find the clue. And this can involve cracking open a safe, reading a journal, or bypassing a network firewall. If there is no threat present, there isn't. The scene ends at the conclusion of the stage. But we do have to go up by 1. Our danger goes up by 1 since we made an action, right? So we have a +1 danger here. So it goes up to 2. So hey, us even messing around and all this exploded stuff. It could be some fire stuff going on, you know, something like that. But let's go back over to consequences. When your investigator suffers consequences, roll 1d6 on the table and resolve the effect. Threats can increase your result by their level. Threats increase the level. Okay, so we're suffering a consequence. Success at a cost, right? So we know where to find a clue, but what is the cost? And I want to roll for that first before we move on to the next scene here. 4 is discard a clue from the clue deck. And this isn't the truth deck, this is the clue deck. So we're losing that 6 of hearts. Sad. So I think as he's stumbling around in here, you know, I think he steps on something in all like the ash of the explosion down here in this basement. He steps on something and it cracks under his feet. And I don't think he realizes it, but that was definitely some kind of a clue. Like there could have been some fingerprints on this beaker or something like that. He stepped on it and cracked it. The clue is gone, right? So that will be our consequence. But we do succeed. So I think while he's stumbling around in here, I think 100% he does discover a safe. I think he does. In between all the ash and stuff, like 100% discovers a safe. But if you don't know what to do in your scene, you're like, what could this clue even be? When you move to your acquisition stage, you can roll on the word. This can involve something bypassing a network. If there's a threat present, the scene ends. Right. Your investigator discovers a clue on page 15. So we can go back here. Clues help your investigator make sense of the mystery. When you gain a clue from rolling particularly well, the first time you draw a card, we get a new clue. Create a new clue by recording its description. So creating new clues, like I was saying, using the random tables or oracles in chapter 4 for inspiration, consider how the different people, the environment, and the existing clues might theme this new clue. For example, you might use subject oracles to generate these things. Right. So what we're actually going to do is we're going to draw our card because our cards have all the words on them, right? We'll draw our card. That's a 5 of diamonds. So if we come over here to our mystery page, we have ace through 10. So this is going to go on our 5 of diamonds. And we have our words here. And what you're supposed to do with these cards is you're supposed to rotate it until you find a word that makes sense to you, which I think I have. One of my only issues with these cards is that I have decision paralysis. So one of the things that I've done when I was playing by myself is I just spun that bad boy, right? And so like, all right, I have to use a word from this top line. And you're supposed to just go until something makes sense to you in your head. But I think at the beginning of a game, it's harder to do that because you don't already have words that you're, you know, ready to establish with. So it's a little bit harder. And then it also says in the explanation of these cards, once you find a word that makes sense to you, you're supposed to use the card that's on the exact opposite side, the word. So before we even look at this bottom line, we're going to find one up here that makes sense to us, right? I was saying that maybe he finds a safe, but I think I was jumping to building out this scene a little bit too early, right? And even though I spun it, these ones still don't make too much sense to me. Let's go this way. Booklet. I love the idea of booklet. Maybe in this safe, he finds a booklet and a mask. Oh, are they masked drug dealers? You know, like Joker style, maybe like the Riddler, something like that. Either ways, those are our 2 words, booklet and mask, and that's on the 5 of diamonds. So we're going to be writing it here. But before we do, I want to read a little bit more. So you might use subject oracles to generate words, hide significant life. So it's cool that they're using 3. So I guess we could use 3, but I think booklet, mask, and endure. Endure is actually kind of cool because maybe they're not like Riddler drug dealers. Maybe there's just like a mask that they were wearing while they were like cooking up these drugs, you know? So this can mean someone important was taken. And now you might make the clue description, important person abduct, but we have 5. So if it's a booklet, the booklet is definitely like a recipe, right? For how to make these drugs. So we know some ingredients. So we can think about where they're getting these ingredients from. And maybe we can go and interrogate that guy. You know what I mean? So we can just write down book of ingredients. That is our clue. And now we have our 5s, our stack of 5s. Very good. Goodness, this game's going to be so much fun. I can't wait until I can just do a full dang old campaign with this thing. I'm kind of worried because I've already been recording for a really long time. And I don't know how much time I have left. Okay, we did not have any threats. So at this point, a threat would do its thing as well. But we're in the acquisition stage. Is when your investigator discovers a clue. This can involve them cracking open the safe, reading a journal, or bypassing the referral. If there is no threat present, the scene ends at the conclusion of the stage. If a threat is present, you instead move to the escape stage. So there is no threat present. So the scene straight up ends right here. So I think we have our little booklet. And I think for a fact, Ripley finds this little booklet with the ingredients and he puts it in his coat before the cops can see it. You know what I mean? Like he looks around, he's like seeing if they see it, and he pockets it real quick because he doesn't want them to see that he found this booklet, you know? And then he's gonna walk out all slow, and the captain's gonna be like, "Yo, did you find anything?" And he's like, "Nah, everything's burnt up in there. You ain't gonna find nothing," right? And he's just gonna walk out to his car, and he's gonna get in his car, and he's gonna start flipping through this booklet, right? Thinking about these weird, strange ingredients they've been using to make this alot drug. Now, at the end here, we have succeeding on an attribute test completes a stage. This means that you have accomplished what the stage is about. Cool. End scene. So, I want to at least do one more scene today, all right? You can't stop. So, we're going to do one more scene here to see if we can get a little bit more about this guy and what the heck's going on. It's a mystery, you know? We're already figuring it out. I don't think we're going to get to be able to solve the mystery today, but just, I think I've explained it enough to think that it's really cool, right? You flip over those cards, you kind of piece things together. It's super cool. Right, so since we finished the scene, that was one scene, we got to mark our clock. Can't forget to do that. And I don't want to fill it in too much, so we're just going to do one of those, right? Our clock is marked. We're good to go. All right, so now since we're starting a new investigation scene, we're going to roll 1d6 and add the danger to the result. This will determine how straightforward or complicated the investigation is. Because we need more clues. We still don't know enough, right? So we're going to just do another investigation thing. That's kind of what makes sense. But we could go and do our obligation scene, where we go and start doing some paperwork, you know? Frame the scene around using oracles. I just want to explain a little bit since, you know. Then we answer the following question. How do we do our obligation? Afterwards, we discard a card from the clue deck. We could also rest to get off steam to get back our fatigue, or we can do our truth scene. Maybe since we have this booklet, we could do a truth scene just because we're doing an explanation of the game, I guess. Here's my other question. If I don't have these awesome solo RPG playing cards, could I play this game? That's my question, because there's a lot of roll charts in here. Because if I was just pulling out a normal 5 of diamonds, you know, I think you could still do it. Because then you're just trying to you're taking guesses at what, It's an interesting question, I think. I mean, yeah, I guess you could. You definitely could. I mean, just looking at it a little bit, you're just kind of like guessing what cards are what. And I think that's cool. Each card definitely has to represent something. But either way, let's do one more scene just to get another example going. So we're going to roll our d6, right? We're going to add it to our current danger level. That's a 3, which is going to bring our danger level up to 5. I love that our danger level started really low. I think that's really good. That part of the paper is going to get messed up, son. All right, on a 5, something or someone is in your investigator's way. Start the scene with an infiltration stage and introduce a level 1 threat. Cool, because that's what I wanted to do. It's a good example to have here. So the infiltration stage is about getting where you need to go. This may involve picking the lock of the back door or stowing away some crates. You only need to play through the stage if you get a 4 on the investigation roll. So introduce a level 1 threat. Let's do that. I already think that he's looking through this booklet and he finds some ingredients and he thinks he knows who sells them, right? Just as a general example. And he's going to take off to go to that person and be like, hey, I know that you're selling, but I think someone was following him. And so that's going to be our threat. So we need to go over to our threats page. Introduce a level 1 threat on page 29. Very good. Threats are rivals, obstacles. They can be anything from landslides or whatever. Anytime the result of an attribute test in an investigation scene is lower than the current danger, a new threat is introduced. But we must determine the nature of the threat using the random threat tables in chapter 4 for inspiration. And then assign the threat level a 1 to 3. We do. We have threats here. Oh, and there's also a cool little, I wasn't even paying attention to that. Infiltration, discovery, acquisition, escape. So there's a nice little thing you can just follow right there on your character sheet. That's kind of cool. So you don't need to go back and forth like I was. Okay, chapter 4, threat table. Do we have noir threats? I think we do. I read it earlier. Yes, we do. So I already assumed it was someone following him, but that might not be the case. 61, consuming fear. My goodness, consuming fear? So apparently he's really scared of this drug lord. I mean, that has to be that. Maybe this drug lord is connected to him somehow. Maybe this drug lord did maybe that's how he lost his arm. You know what I mean? That makes so much sense. He lost his arm because the drug lord took him out. You know what I mean? Wow. So he's got consuming fear of these guys. So that's going to be our threat. It's a level 1 threat. The threat's level determine how dangerous or aware of your investigator it is. Write the nature and level of the threat on the mystery sheet. So it'd be 1, fear. I could roll again to make it the assassin or the people following us if I wanted to as well. So the infiltration stage being where he needs to get where he needs to go. So he needs to make in this situation, he would need to make I'd say an insight check to be able to get over his mental blockage from approaching this next person. You know what I mean? He needs to get over this so he can approach the door and interrogate this person who's selling this kind of, and I don't even know what it is. So we could probably roll on, some other kind of roll chart to see exactly what this ingredient is. I probably should have did that while we were looking at the booklet. That would have been another roll chart that I probably would have hit. And we could also be where do we go next, right? We can roll it here. 64. That'll help help us out a lot. An airport. For some reason, there's ingredients that they're dealing at the airport. Maybe it's just a baggage person, you know what I mean? Like on the DL or something, you know? Super fun. Anyways, all right, I am out of time. Sadly, I'm out of time. Look, if you want to see me do a full playthrough of this dang thing, make sure to let me know in comments below. Oh, green screen is still down. Hold on, I can fix it. Oh, make sure to let me know in comments below if you want to see me do a full playthrough of this thing. I'm really thinking sci-fi, but it might be fun to do a Willy the Wizard mystery, you know, solving the murder of the Goblin Queen. Might be a lot of fun to do, all right? That's all I'm saying. I really wanted to showcase this book today, and I wanted to showcase these cards because I want to use them in more things than just this here system, but it felt weird to not do this system first, you know what I mean? First of all, the fact that the mystery has been solved already, I think is such a cool mechanic. I personally think that this has solved a huge issue that mystery solo games have. For example, if you're trying to play a mystery to figure something out, if you already know what the end goal is because you have to write it yourself because you're a solo player, you can just kind of give yourself clues to get there, and that kind of sucks. In Vaesen, it's kind of weird because there's so many different options, and you have to kind of try to make stretches to be able to figure out what the actual bad guy is in that game. You know, it's kind of tough. But the fact that it's already like, I guess you always make stretches. I hope that this makes sense. Trying to figure out a mystery in a solo game just can really be difficult. And I think this mechanic really kind of helps that a lot. I'm gonna have to like do a full mystery solo video to go into more depth about what I'm talking about, so hopefully it can make it make sense. But I think Caught in the Rain is really something special, right? And I think that there's a lot of pages of rules, but I think once you get them down, it could be super flowy. And I think this book does a really good job explaining exactly what you need and how to play. I think this is honestly solo beginner friendly because it has everything in there that you need. Can you play this without these special playing cards? That's my question. I might have to put that to the test. I think it is possible. I do. But we'll just have to see about that. Let me know what you guys think about this bad boy. And let me know if you want to see me do a full actual play of it in the future. First of all, thank you so much for watching. And shout out again to Ravens Ridge Emporium and Nicholas Robina for making an awesome game. All right? You guys rock. Keep going out there and keep killing it. If you guys want to check out Ravens Ridge, not only do they have games, they have books and props and dice and other kinds of stuff on their website. Get over there, check them out. Link down there in the dang old description. This was fun. For now, my friends, take a seat on the couch by subscribing. At least until you find yourselves on a mystery yourselves. Roll on that, weirdos, and I'll see you next time. Toodaloo. Sick.